we're about to speak with Major Mohammed Bashir, retired, a former Nigerian army officer, about the unfortunate murder in cold blood of 16 gallant officers of the Nigerian army in a community in Delta State, south of Nigeria, what it connotes for troop morale at a time of great insecurity, and how things can be done better going forward. Good morning, sir, and good to have you on the morning show today. All right, it looks like the retired army officer is not ready for us, but this, as you know, Angels, is an important subject, something not to in any way laugh about, the dastardly act that happened in Delta State, 15 gallant army officers, including, I think, a major and two majors,
yes.
That happened there. I like the fact that the first line of communication that came out came directly from the army, and saying that investigation will commence immediately, because what this does is to bring back the very sad tale of Zakibiam and Odi, if you remember, during the Obasanjo regime, when some communities attacked some military formations and killed, I think, 2 soldiers, and it was almost like a massacre, at that time. The details of what happened in Delta are still kinda sketchy, but investigation has commenced, and I think that every Nigerian of conscience should stand with the Nigerian army at this point, because what happened really is just something untoward, something that we cannot applaud. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's a national tragedy. They were responding apparently to a distress call because of some community skirmishes. And I think it also reflects an issue we have with our security apparatus, because typically that type of internal security should be left to our police. So it shows also that the fact that our military has to respond to internal security issues, to communal issues, which should really be a police matter, shows that the security situation in the country is really in crisis. And we've been talking about insecurity mostly in the north, and particularly in the northeast. And now this is a massacre of our troops in the south. So it shows that this insecurity and these issues that we're talking about is pervasive across the country. And honestly, I think it's a moment for us to, take a moment to respect our troops who are protecting us, and we're going to talk about their morale now, because their pay is not very high. There's very little reward, I would say, for our servicemen, the officers, the troops, and I think it's actually a tragedy to see 15 members of our service members be killed.
It's a complete tragedy, Adesua. So there are 16 soldiers that died. The governor of Delta State said that this whole incident is alien to our culture. I am from Delta State. We've not really experienced this type of killings. And just to note that the reason those soldiers were deployed there was for a peace mission. And to find out that they actually went there for a peace mission and they were killed in that manner just goes to show a lot at this point. What were the youth thinking?
Yes.
Why did they have to go out there to massacre our gallant soldiers? They were there on a peace mission. More needs to be done. It feels like there's some sort of a disconnect between the military and the community there. Definitely. I mean, they have been there for a while. I think that it is important that they were able, that it should have been able to communicate with the community and to foster peace in that region. We must see an end to this, really.
I think we have Major Mohammed Bashir back there.
Galma is my name.
Hello, General Bashir. Is that correct? You're trying to say something about your name? Good morning. Good to have you back.
My name is Major Mohammed Bashir Galma.
Major Mohammed Bashir Garba. Okay, thank you indeed for the correction. Thank you. All right, good to have you on the show. Let's proceed about what happened in Delta State. We were just discussing it in the studio, and we applauded the fact that, you know, the first line of communication came directly from the army saying that investigation has commenced. And I did make a statement about how this is a sad reminder to what happened in Odi and Zakibiam during the Obasanjo government. What are the facts as you know them as at now, and what do you make of the statement from the Nigerian Army?
Thank you very much indeed for having me.
You're welcome.
For the little I know, first of all, let me say it is very absurd, like you said during your comments or news, that here is a group of people trying to make peace between two fighting communities, but they ended up being the biggest casualty of that whatever, fracas that was. Let me say it's very unfortunate, it's bad, and it's not good for not only for the communities around that area, it's bad for the whole nation, whereby we have people who are always standing by trying to cater within the resources available to them to see that other people, innocent people, are protected. And then now getting them maimed, it is blowing, it's hard blowing to the rest of the members of that unit. From the number of casualties and the ranks I've had, it seems to me, if it is a battalion location, it seems to me even that the CO had been killed. Because according to the organogram of a battalion, we expect a lieutenant colonel to be a battalion commander, then maybe his 2IC a major, then maybe an adjutant, a captain. But I learned that 2 majors have been killed, maybe a battalion 2IC or a company commander, and then a captain. That is absurd. And then the soldiers. It's not good at all for the presence of the military there. And like you said, like what somebody said correctly, it seems to me the communities around that place, I think they have not been, friendly with the soldiers around for whatever reason. But in that general area, so many reasons can be attributed to what happened. Maybe some people, some terrible people, taking cover with what has happened, and then now seize the opportunity of seeing these soldiers being an interceding, party, try to do this thing. And from my own observation, from what I heard, though investigation is going on, there must be hands of some disgruntled past combatants in this involvement. And again, you see, this is always the problem, whereby you put soldiers, when you have so many retired senior military officers around that general area, whatever you do, as military personnel, comradeship, they will always see that you are siding one part or the other. Unfortunately, this has to go on. We cannot just say that we are going to stop putting soldiers because there are so many retired senior military officers interfering with the, I'm not saying that I have an authority that, authoritatively, that there had been any interference from some of these past retired officers or something like that. But from all indication, the manner in which these combatants were killed, there is a sign, some expertise, and then there is a sign again, luring of these soldiers to this very vantage position where they just did this very harm. But thank God, information I received that some of them have been arrested. Investigation and interrogation will bring forth to what had actually happened. Mark you, this is an area where scrambling, all sorts of scrambling, oil theft going on, illegal refining going on, illegal drilling of oil well going on. So land, where these things can be found, they can be very lucrative, and these people interested in sabotaging the Nigerian economy by making themselves richer will do anything to see that this type of thing keep on happening so that they keep on gaining. But unfortunately, it has happened in the wrong time. We don't hope it will reach the OD and Zaki Biam type of thing. But if there is any repeat of this type of thing, honestly, believe me sincerely, we will not accept foreign countries coming in to start interfering about human rights, as if the soldiers being slaughtered are not human beings. They don't have the right to live. They are only there to do their jobs. And I see no reason why some people and nobody, as far as Nigeria remains one, you cannot just say that you are going to tell the commander-in-chief, we don't want soldiers in our area. You cannot just do it, because you are not the only person there. So whoever this group of people is, honestly, it is going to be found. And when it is found, what I'm calling on the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic, he should not allow this thing to go scotch-free, to set an example. Honestly, these people must be exposed and must be tried by a special court and be given the punishment which they deserve.
All right. Major Bashir, you're absolutely right. I did mention earlier that, it appears that there's some sort of disconnect between the military and the community as well. And, like I mentioned before, the Delta State government has already, condemned the attack and described it as, alien to our culture. And now my main point is, I did hear you say something about not accepting any sort of foreign help. What must the military begin to do now to avoid any sort of reoccurrence? And are you against foreign help if something like this were to happen again in Delta State?
I didn't mention foreign, I was not mentioning foreign help. Condemnation, you will hear that, that's what I said. I say I'm not expecting what happened in OD and Zakibi and during Obasanjo's time to say that it's going to happen now. Because these people, these foreign people, or the foreign power will come and start talking about human rights abuse and so on and so forth. When soldiers are killed, these countries, they don't talk about human rights. But when you touch these terrible combatants among civilians, killing soldiers, then now human rights come in and so on and so forth. This is what I'm saying. So the only way to stop it, to avoid it, is for the communities to know. And the only person that can send that message to the community is the commander-in-chief, who is the commander of the armed forces of the Republic, that that the country would not accept its members of the armed forces being maimed in this type of, style, and keeping free. So that's why this investigation, when it brings out the culprits, they should be dealt with properly. And we are not looking for any help from any foreign country to do this thing. What happened is this: nobody has the right to tell the Nigerian or the federal government or the commander-in-chief how to deploy his troops to wherever is deemed necessary. So we are not expecting, we're not saying that our soldiers have failed, that we will start calling people from outside to help. We're not asking for that. But we're saying anybody again who repeats such a thing, because mind you, like I said, that is an area, because of whatever business they're having there, lucrative, whatever they are getting, and so on and so forth. Mind you, it was only about 10 days ago that the military makes some discovery of some weapon, what do you call it, is it factory or local factory, and so on and so forth. These people, you think they are going to be happy with what has happened? So that's why I mentioned some people may take cover. Some of these aggrieved people may take cover of seeing these soldiers exposed during this intersection of the battle of what is happening between these two communities, and then do this type of thing for them. So, like you said, it is not a disconnect. If there's a disconnect, it's because the soldiers are doing their duty to stop them from this illegal, whatever they are doing there. That will be the only disconnect. Otherwise, I cannot see any disconnection. There are some soldiers deployed in other areas. We have not been hearing that there is such a heinous enmity between the soldiers and the community they are working with. It's always friendly.
Thank you, Major. One commanding officer, 2 majors, 1 captain, and 12 soldiers. Now, this distress call led to their tragic deaths. In your experience, how can intelligence gathering and community engagement be enhanced to prevent attacks on military personnel like this in the future? And of course, foster better cooperation between the security forces and local populations. And very quickly, do you believe there are any systemic issues within the military or any gaps in training or equipment that need to be addressed to better protect these soldiers in the field to prevent such tragic losses in the future?
So far, what I can say is this, like I said, information intelligence report, we don't, the military doesn't, joke with it. So maybe these chaps, or the commanding officer and his troops, were lured into this battleground, maybe from the information they have gotten, maybe they must have been told a different story altogether. But I bet to tell you, there is no something like this that will be taking place without the knowledge of the military, even without the knowledge of the headquarters, without the knowledge of the Office of the National Security, without the knowledge of even the Commander-in-Chief. But things like this. But look, what happened is this. We are not going to jettison our job. It's very unfortunate. We lost these great officers, combatant and the soldiers. It's very unfortunate. And their soul rest in peace. But the problem here is the communities there should understand whenever they do this type of thing, they are just putting gap between them and the military more and more. So this friendliness that they will be expecting, it will be hard to come by. And then when it is hard to come by, it is them that they are going to, suffer for it. So that's that. There's nothing, we can do than to wait for the board of inquiry. And it should be fast. It should not be allowed to just die down or to cool down like the other places we have been hearing of. There are so many board of inquiries. The defense headquarters are waiting, to be heard of. And we have not heard anything about it. And this one is very, very important. Very, very, it should not, by the grace of God, we should not allow it to repeat itself again. Otherwise, well, a soldier is always a soldier, Does that.
Sorry, sir. Please, I'd like you to explain what you mean by a soldier is always a soldier. And more so, I would like you to speak on morale of the soldiers and our armed forces in light of an event like this, but also in light of the low wages and the low care and maybe the low level of trust between soldiers and the communities they serve. So I'd like you to talk about what you mean by a soldier is always a soldier, and also speak on the morale of our armed servicemen.
Look, when I say a soldier is always a soldier, let me give you an example. If you are in a place, let's say a market, a soldier in uniform is seen being, mobbed by some irate civilians or something like that. You think other soldiers in uniform, even if they don't know him, they will sit down aloof, watching without help coming to help him? No way. We have not been trained like that. No cowardice, but we obey orders. So this is it. And then what you are saying about morale, yes, the morale of that battalion is really going to go down below the knee because of what has happened to it. But it will not take time before they regain that morale, and then booster will come to them that will regain. And then believe me sincerely, when they come out next time, they are not going to come out, even if they have the report of an operation to intercede. They will be they can be friendly, but not much friendlier than what they used to be. This is it. They will be, I'm telling you, it's very unfortunate. It's not that because we lack training or lack equipment or something like that, but we are always aware of all this blame, this human rights something. People saying that their countries will say they are not going to sell arms to us because we are going to use it against our people. But look at it, the people are using them against the soldiers.
Sorry, sir.
Or whatever weapons they have.
Can I confirm?
So what do you do? So I'm telling you now what I mean.
That human rights is a hindrance? Do you believe human rights is a hindrance to the army? You believe human rights
yes, honestly, the army? Honestly, they have been trying, look, they have been trying their best to see that, you know, they don't break this, they don't call this embarrassment of human right. Look at what happened during the NSAS. Lies being fabricated as. I want you to imagine if today it is the reverse of what has happened. What is going to happen? Cameras from all over the place will come, outside the country will come, and they will flash, and this is what the country military has done. But look at what has happened. So what I'm trying to say here is, these military chaps, our children, they are in fact, if you look at the Nigeria, 75% of Nigerians, there's no house that has no military personnel there, or was had military personnel, from grandfathers to fathers and so on and so forth. So what is it about? Is it just because some people, they want to be greedy, they want to be breaking the law, and they don't want to see people are going to stop them from there? They seize opportunities, any little opportunity they see, they commit this harbor. That's why I say, look, we are now leaving it to the Commander-in-Chief. I hope the Commander-in-Chief will not say that I did not bargain for this so far. Because this country, I'm telling you, Madam, only God can solve our problems somehow. Yes.
All right, Major Galma, we get your point about the human rights component of what is happening. But in the course of this interview, twice or thrice, you have specifically mentioned the Commander-in-Chief. And I think that you use that word decidedly. You didn't say Mr. President because you believe that this is a military operation.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, of course I know that. So Yes, he is the Commander-in-Chief without a doubt. And you are asking him to not let this pass. My question, which is a kind of a worry, is that when the military formation is already saying that an investigation is ongoing, your call for the Commander-in-Chief to step in, is that not basically trying to draw the president into the battle himself? And beyond what you're asking the president to do or the Commander-in-Chief to do, what would you like the Delta State government to also do, given the fact that this happened right in Delta State?
Delta State government, from what I heard you read, they have done their own. That's the only thing they can do. They are no combatant. Is to try to enlighten their community the dangers of this type of thing, like I mentioned. Example, you people gave example of Odi and Zakibiam. So take note. That is the message I want to send. And when I mentioned the Commander-in-Chief, by the end of the day, if investigations have been carried out, and by the end of the day, he will always have a say on the arbitration of whatever is going to, happen to the commission itself and the people involved, whatever is going to be done to stop it, and so on and so forth. So that's why we cannot, this is a presidential system. You cannot talk about the military without mentioning the Commander-in-Chief. I know we have the, if you follow the nomenclature of the national security, you have all the service chiefs. Then you have the CDS, you have the service chief. Then you have, politically, administratively, you have the national security advisor, whose table always this information about all this type of thing will always end up. Those days we used to call them coordinators of national security. So what I mean here is the Commander-in-Chief, he has already been drawn into it, not because of even what is happening in all the happenings in the country, because everywhere is conflagrating. I'm sorry to say it.
I understand that, Major, but can I quickly ask a follow-up question? Given that an investigation has commenced, and with your background in the military, you've mentioned Udi, you've mentioned Zakibiam. What do you think will come out of this investigation? I mean, 15, 16 people have died, gallant military officers. What is the likelihood of a reprisal attack happening in Delta State?
No, look, I said the Nigerian military is a disciplined organization. They are going to wait, or it is going to wait for this board of inquiry by the instructions that is going to be given to it. But whatever happens, a blame must be apportioned for one reason or the other, and then people found to be culpable, they should be given the rightful, correct punishment according to the rule of the country. So this is exactly what I mean. The result, since this thing is in the open now, you people know it, is also left for the Nigerian press, all the world press, to keep on pressing on, so that this thing is brought out, is finished, result given, punishment is awarded, whatever it is, apportion blame, culpability, and so on and so forth, so that history is going to be learned out of it, so that it will not repeat itself again. Because allowing this type of thing to happen again, honestly, it means road to anarchy, which we don't hope, we don't like.
Thank you so much, Major. Let's talk about, insecurity on a broader perspective. The Inspector General of Police expressed optimism about winning the battle against insurgency and other criminal activities. Now, considering this broader context of insecurity in the nation, including, the incidents of abduction and even attacks on civilians, how would you advise government to ensure a comprehensive approach to addressing the underlying issues that are fueling these conflicts while also prioritizing the safety of all citizens?
Madam, you have already hit the nail on the head. Prioritizing, the most important, prioritize it, so that we give it much more attention. We agree that the president is worried about the economic situation, but calling for foreign investors to come and so on and so forth. Without security, with insecurity, I don't think these foreign investors would like to come to this country. So prioritizing and see that this thing, at least it got nipped out of the body, at least 80% within this short period of 6 months will be a very welcome decision, and they have a way to do it. But it's not good, it will not be good for us to keep on, talking about it on the radio or on the television, saying that this is what they have to do. They know it. What I'm going to advise them is this. Please, let us not be saying some people are analog, they are digital or something like that. Contact the old books. Contact the old books. Who are the old books? Retired generals are there all over the place, all old ones who have the ideas. We have retired soldiers who can still contribute. Even if they cannot go to the field combatantly, they can sit down in a room, identify things to be done, give recipe to do this thing. And I'm telling you, what we need in this country is to increase the ways intelligence are being gathered in this country. Because with single intelligence report, reliable intelligence report, instead of sending a battalion to go and do an operation somewhere, you can send a company, it will clinically go and do that operation for you and come out successfully. But when you don't have the intelligence, you are just hitting about the bush. That press hitting about the bush. You are looking for those people. No. And then readiness again. Look at, for example, on Independence Day celebration, we have ceremonies in the Eagle Square or in Tabawa Balear Square or anywhere. We see soldiers dropping from helicopters, paratroopers dropping and so on and so forth. We should have all those type of soldiers with these helicopters ready to be called at any given minute to stand up and then be dropped in a certain square kilometerage of the bush and so on and so forth. Boxing those people. When I say boxing, putting them in a square shape, something, waiting for them to come and this. Within short period, this thing can be done. If there is a ready combat truce for that, at every given time to be called. But when this type of thing happens, before even the story will reach the main, state headquarters for this thing, it takes time. Imagine this thing now, the scene or the top of the story about this insecurity, about this school kidnapping. How many kilometers from Kaduna? About 75 miles from Kaduna. And that town is a very old place. It had no police station for over so many months, no police station. Okay, if people are going to report, who are they going to report? If you phone here to report this thing, before How are you going to get ready to even mobilize to go to that place? There are so many ideas we have to come out with, but I bet to tell you, please, 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 I'm calling on the whole security outfit, our generals, service chiefs, the National Office of the National Security Advisor. In fact, Mr. President himself, Mr. President, I'm sure he has so many people that he can just go to, sit down with them, and then, let them profess listen. And I bet to tell you, it will not be, disrespectful for himself to see that at least he brought out some soldiers, at least other ranks, cut across ranks, to be brought at least maybe 2 or 4 from battalions or from divisions and so on and so forth, to sit down and talk with the commander-in-chief without anybody being there. What is the problem? You are the fighting machine. He has been talking to the service chiefs. Let him talk to some group of this fighting machine too, so that he can hear if there is a particular problem that maybe he has not heard of, so that he will amend and he will do something. Let us see that there is at least a change. Right, the change is calling for.
Major Bashir.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, Major Bashir. I wanted to revisit the issue of the wages for military officers. I mean, there was a viral video that came up, I believe, sometime last month, where a soldier said that he earned about 75,000 naira and couldn't go back to, meet with his family for the holidays or something like that. I mean, with this incident,
yes,
what do you make of the morale for the soldiers at this point? And what do you make of the call for state police? Because, I mean, these soldiers were apparently killed in broad daylight with no security to guard that community. And do you think that if there were more policemen around Delta State, this sort of incidents wouldn't occur? And also, I'd like your thoughts on the issue of employing or having more military architecture, because I understand that there's only about 200,000 military officers that are guarding Nigeria with over 200 million civilians.
Look, I left the army 37 years ago as a major, and I know about this 250 population, but I don't think it's still that 250. But what we are trying to say here is, like you are talking about the salary. Look, the armed forces, if you look at, they are graded in ranks. Agreed. There is no salary, whoever earns salary, there is no salary that is enough for anybody in this country now. So, including the armed forces. So what I'm saying here is, if what they are entitled to goes to them without any hindrances or without any, bureaucracy, wasting time, money has not come from whatever and so on and so forth. If they always have their entitlement with their decision, I see no reason why things like this we are seeing in the media will be coming out. That's why I suggested that type of thing, that the commander-in-chief should go down and speak with these people. Let him unravel some of these things. Let him hear it himself, not what we read in the social media and so on and so forth. Is it true? Things like this are and so on and so forth. And then if it is equipment, lack of so many equipments, gradually we took a gun barrel and shot ourselves in the leg. We allow our local industries or our industries we have here in the country to just die down. Look at the DIC in Kaduna. Those days, 52 years ago when I was a cadet, we are getting our ammunition supply from all the Nigerian armed forces. We are getting their supply of ammunition made from the DIC here in Kaduna. I don't know whether the DIC at all even produces those type of things nowadays. And now there is no excuse whereby a Nigerian soldiers will be given first line, ammunition. Then by the end of the day, before he goes to the second line, the ammunition gets finished. We have no reason for that. because we used to have, and I see no reason why it should not be revived. Thank God I saw the Minister of Defense visiting the place recently. I hope he puts that into consideration to see that these type of things are decent. Salary-wise, like you said, I said the armed forces salary, they are given according to grade. And I'm sure if there is going to be an amendment, the military would have to sit down with the what do you call it, with themselves, or with the salaries and something, what do you call them, mobilization, something, to come out with a real good decision. But the armed forces own will not start coming until when this one, you know, for the generality is settled, then the armed forces own will come. But definitely, like you said, that amount of money, not only for the soldiers who are always putting their, you know, lives on the line to be said that they depend on that amount of money, is generally for, you know, everybody, every worker. But the armed forces, honestly, priority should be given to it, because this. And the matter of state police, madam, let me tell you something. This is Nigeria. Now, the Nigeria of today, this is a digital Nigeria. If it worked when Nigeria was analog, those days, when I was in the primary school, we have Ndoka, NA police, a native police in the towns and so on and so forth. It really worked. That time, crime has not gotten sophisticated such as now. I've been hearing some governors saying that they are going to even equip their own local police with AK-47 and so on and so forth. I bet to tell you that is a recipe for problem, because you can see two commands. One armed command under the command of somebody else, one armed command receives its own direction for another person altogether. So when there is a difference in opinion, what do you expect? We start seeing two people who are supposed to be keeping the peace drawing fire against themselves. So that's the decision. But to be honest with you, I am not for that idea at all, because we have even started seeing the example of all these trained local, what do you call it, vigilantes now by the governors. Some of them going into the bush to commit crimes, wearing that toga of that position. They are wearing the uniform they are wearing to do things that are not expected of this.
All right.
And then it's not easy.
All right.
Nowadays, to get less blemish people who are not blemish, to be given this type of jobs. So I think even if you are going to increase the number of security personnel, recruit them, train them in intelligence gathering. Let it be one-to-one. One-to-one. When I say one-to-one, one security armed forces man with one intelligence gatherer, getting all the information before things are done.
All right.
You know.
On that note, Major Bashir, I would like to thank you very much for joining us on the morning show. We hope that this matter will be thoroughly investigated and the culprits will be brought to book.